hear me long while others on the way to go.
Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast. Brian Siegel, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing, Curtis?
Oh, dude, we're making it here today. Sipping on a brewski. Watched The Incredibles with the boys tonight, man. I love that movie.
You can't go wrong with Pixar, man.
That movie, man. I think Incredibles 2 might have been. It was definitely the first movie I saw with my older son.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that franchise. I mean, it's just such an awesome movie. How about you? What you been up to today?
Well, today I did my good old work from home routine. Ended up having both of my classes canceled today due to internet connectivity issues. So my afternoon was a little bit different than I thought it was going to be. But it was a pretty relaxing day. Nothing to complain about. Been checking in on Twitter, making sure nothing's been going too crazy for us. I see some little chatter, but nothing too crazy yet. We'll see what happens.
Definitely chatter right now. I think these young high school bucks are they're getting antsy. They can't practice. They got to work out at home. They're not able to get on their visits. You kind of feel for them because for so many of these guys, this is the time of year where they'd be going to camps and making their visits, and and it's all gone right now. And for the guys who are coming in, I mean, you feel for them in one way that they don't get that sense of accomplishment with the graduation. They don't get to walk across the stage and spend the waning last few days of high school with their probably friends they've had all their lives. So, definitely stinks, but you see these guys out here still having fun, still cutting up. So it's awesome to see that, man.
Yeah, like everybody else, they're finding ways to cope just like we are.
It is very true. So, today, folks, what we're going to be doing, we're going to do some rundown here of some Hokie news over the last few days since we last met with you. But today, the big thing will be our first Hokie experiences.
Yes, sir.
Oh, baby. Can't wait. But let's start with some of the big news of the last few days here, Brian. And I got to say, probably the biggest thing that's happened for the Hokies positively is, man, Latrell Novell, 4-star wide receiver, 6'3", 195, Hightower High School, Mizzou City, Texas, number 307 in the country, and 44 offers, Brian. I mean,
yep.
Dude, that's a third of D1 football, and it's not like they're the bottom. Some of the biggest offers he had, Bama, the Buckeyes, the Ducks, and Boomer Sooners. I mean,
yeah, he was in the fold with Boomer there, and then things turned sour, and I'll take the reward there in this case. So good for him. It's nice to have him in the fold. It looks like DD is out there recruiting the greater Texas area just as hard as Bo is. So
yes, sir, he is. And Latrell seems like he's right on top of it, following with DD and Bo, man. Brian, tell me, I mean, you've seen a little bit of his tape. What do you think of Latrell just right now?
I mean, I think the big thing is that, we've talked about the last couple of times, especially when we were talking about kind of the roster makeup. We went through that episode and kind of looked at everything. The thing we really needed was some depth at wide receivers. So getting a 4-star guy that's been going up against Texas talent for 3 years now, going into his senior year, highly rated, highly coveted by a lot of big-time programs. I mean, there's nothing to really criticize about this. I mean, you may not call him quote-unquote elite, but in terms of being a high caliber target, he's definitely as high caliber target as you can really talk about. You say 307, yes, so we're pretty much talking about a top 300 player in the country, and wide receiver is obviously a different animal because we're talking about there's 2 to 3 of those guys on every team that could potentially be getting a look. So
yeah,
top 300 wide receivers, nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, to me, he is elite because of what you just said. With a lot of the way offenses are running in high school nowadays, 2, 3, 4, and even some cases, guys who are running empties. It's not what it was 10 years ago when, he's the number 54 wide receiver. He's okay. Like 54 wide receiver, you're saying if this guy's on a top 20 team, he's going to be on the field every play.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Now, Brian, unfortunately, news was great earlier in the week, but last night Wednesday night got a little heartbreaking for us. A little
bit.
What you think?
So, elephant in the room, we did not make the top 8 for Tony Grimes, for the Joker. There was a bunch of blue bloods in there, and then UVA in there, which we didn't like to see. But in some ways, it's bad because that's one of the top players in the country, top cornerback in the country, and we're not in this top 8. On the upside, we know in early April, not December. He was talking about wanting to commit on December 1st. I think that was the thing he had trumpeted back in the first part of January, was he wanted to commit around December the 1st. So at least we weren't, hanging on and committing all those resources to him through the whole process, only to be, left at the altar. So if it was going to happen, I'm almost glad it did happen now, but it still sucks not being one of the 8 that was in heavy consideration for him.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Very glad he did go ahead and not include us in his top 8 because of what you mentioned with the resources. It does suck. Tony is a hell of a player, hell of an athlete. The creme de la creme of the cornerback class this year.
Yeah, we talked about his versatility on the when we were breaking down the 21 class in the state. So he's a versatile guy that was going to fit in good, kind of with what looks like J-Ham is going to from a secondary perspective. So that piece of it sucks, but like I said, if it had to happen, it's almost better it's happening now, so we can go ahead and move forward and go to Plan B.
Yeah. So for Tony, his family, best of luck to you in all your endeavors, man.
Yes, sir. But we did get some other good news, at least in terms of being considered in a top 8 or top 10 scenario. We had Latrell McCutcheon, top 10. If we're talking about cornerbacks, that we lose out on the Joker, but we've got McCutcheon there putting us in the top 10. Looks like he's been tweeting out some VT love a lot recently. So I think DD and the other Latrell are down there working on him a little bit. So that's good to see.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I mean, he's the number 1 corner in Texas, down in Austin. His offer list the same way in the top 10, along with your usual suspects. I mean, you got the Trojans, got Go Tigers, got the Seminoles. And I'm going to say something about Latrell McCutcheon. Last year, and I'm sure you read on this, Brian, he hurt his ACL, so he did not have a 2019 season.
Correct.
And this is my thought with him. He's 98th in the national right now. I think he's 6 or 7. I feel like 6 or 7 on the corner. If I'm wrong, my apologies. I think if he comes out and he plays this year, and he plays at the level he was his sophomore year, he's going to rock it. He's going to be a top 50 player. Because I think right now they're holding off because he's got the body type, he's got the show in his sophomore season. But now you're talking about if he comes back and explodes, it's going to be like, oh, we should have never doubted this kid. Let's rocket up the board. And kind of the big thing here, you don't see it happen a lot. He decommitted from the Tide, which usually when Nick gets his guys, Nick doesn't let them go.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like some of that was probably related to the junior year injury, but at the same time, we've gotten on him since he's been on our board, and we've stuck with him. I'm hoping that if he ends up rocketing up the board like you're talking about, that some of that loyalty and sticking by him through that tribulation is going to potentially pay off in terms of him seeing us as someone that didn't turn our back on him or slight him in any way during that recovery process.
Absolutely. Now, even more good news, man, was the California to Virginia Tech movement still out there getting word. Anthony Beavers in his top 5, along with Arizona State, Florida Florida A&M University, historically HBCU, San Diego State, and Sparty, 4-star guy. And I want to ask you this, Brian. I don't know if you got a chance to see Anthony's tape yet, but his comparison is Levante David. And Levante David is an inside linebacker. He's not an outside will. So, and I know he's only like 6'1", 190, but maybe, again, you don't get to see these guys in person. But I'm wondering if his frame maybe is built a little different to where they feel like, hey, this guy can play inside linebacker at 225.
That may be the case. I haven't seen a ton of tape on him, but like you were saying, making the top 5 is big for this. I mean, I don't think a few months ago we would have dreamed that we would be even considered a top 5 candidate for a 4-star out of California. So the fact that we're really, stretching our recruiting footprint out there and, testing all the waters and seeing who wants to become a Hokie, I think that's a big thing. It'll be interesting to see how that develops. But as far as talent, I mean, you don't become a 4-star out in California for anything. I mean, that's a pretty competitive group out there. Very similar to what they have in Texas and Florida. I think this might be something if he ends up not getting quite the offer sheet that he was looking for some of the other guys. I know when he tweeted out the top 5, it was on April Fool's and it didn't have USC in there.
Or Oregon.
Yeah.
Where he decommitted from.
Yeah. So there was no USC, no Oregon, and people were like, April Fools.
And then he comes back and is like, no.
Nope.
Another one, too, Adonai Mitchell out of Tennessee, another pretty, 4-star wide receiver. Love to see we're in his top 5 as well. Again, we lost out on Tony, but we're gaining on other guys here, man. And it's pretty awesome to see. We want the state of Virginia. It's great, but it's awesome to see that we have a staff that's basically saying, yeah, Virginia's important. You saw Bo when we lost out. It is a priority. Tony was a priority. We didn't get him, but we're not stuck in this. We're not stuck in a region anymore.
Yeah,
we're now saying we're going to go to Texas. We're gonna go to California. We're going to offer these kids. Those are the 2 biggest states in this country. There's so many football players there, and as me and you've discussed, and had some conversations with other folks, guys who are ranked 40, 50, 60 in those state classes are in basically top 10s of just about every state. And,
we talked about with Latrell with the commit we got on Sunday. He's 44 in Texas, but that's number 8 in Virginia if you use the 247 composite rating.
Exactly.
Put him number 8 in Virginia. So that's when you look at it state by state, you can't really look at that. Let's look at the composite score and see where they're falling on the if you're using the top 300, yeah, we can look at that because that's something you can compare against. But if you're looking at he's so and so in the state, yeah, that matters, but it doesn't. And I think another thing that we can look at here, this dead period is hurting some of the guys we were trying to get on campus. But the other thing that it's doing that's somewhat in our favor is because we've set up these different connections in other states. We're in a dead period right now. So in terms of recruiting the state of Virginia and recruiting everywhere else is pretty much on equal footing right now.
100%. 100%, man. All right, let me throw it to you. Hard hat series, Tap and Tiernick.
Yeah.
What'd you think, man?
Well, we got what we expected. I think we got an energetic Daryl Tapp, and we got a very collected and cerebral Tierlink. And I think that's what we're going to talk about going forward. Is that Tierlink's going to be the guy that's going to be the scheme guy. He's going to get in there and scheme things up. And Tap's going to be the guy that's drilling their ass, getting them on the field, getting them in the weight room, getting them in the film room. And I think just the combination is great. And I think the other thing that they brought up that is great for us is that NFL pedigree.
Yep.
And the way they hammered that home kind of in the end there just really, really, I think was something that we need to focus on. And the big thing with that is you look at what UNC is doing right now. You've got a head coach that's got a national championship ring. You got a cornerback coach that has a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
That matters to kids.
It does.
It might seem trivial, but it matters to kids.
Yep.
So we get something like that with Bill and with Daryl in there. That's going to start mattering to kids too.
100%. A couple things that really stuck out to me was the way Daryl and both of them talked about they speak the same language and they have the same thought pattern. And then Daryl said it. The defensive scheme that Bill is running is what he learned at the Senior Bowl and what he ran his whole 12 years. So that tells me they're connected. The other piece, and this was Justin Hamilton, he's like, there's one guy in that room that you don't want to get in a wrestling match with, and the other guy, you respect how smart he is at this line.
Boom.
Oh, let me ask you this. Of all the ones that they were talking about, the pairs, what was your favorite?
We got to go Batman and Robin, right?
All right. Well, see, I went Murdoch and B.A. Baracus from the A-Team, baby, because they really do kind of look like those guys. All right, big guy. So Saturday, well, first of all, I want to get to Saturday night in a second. The John Laser interview with Coach Fu was just so, thank God. The guy talked. He seemed loose.
He's in the basement command center. That's his safe zone, man.
Exactly. But a few things he brought up, he was definitely hitting the good points. But just some of the kind of the cooler things he brought up was he's an 80 movies guy. Loved hearing that. And he said it almost brought a tear to his eye when his daughter was like, "Can we watch Ferris Bueller again?"
There we go.
Awesome.
And I mean, you can't go wrong with those 80s movies, man.
I know. 80s is great, man. And were you shocked by his selection of the Monopoly piece?
Yo, I didn't catch that part. What was the selection?
What do you think he said since you missed that piece?
The iron.
No, the hat. The hats.
Okay.
What's your piece? Are you the iron?
I'm going with the iron, man.
You're the iron? Always was the race car. I think I just played it like at a young age where it's like, oh, just give me the race car, I'll win. And then like somebody smokes you and bankrupts you, and you're like, oh, boo.
I did like him going in on some of the grilling aspects, though, talking about having a brisket on, and that's one of the things he does to kind of hobby and relax and everything like that. So that was kind of cool because that's a big thing for me. I mean, that I spend a lot of time outside on the deck, grilling, smoking, all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's something good that he's kind of saying, hey, I'm just like some of you fans out there too.
Absolutely. And then when he started Saturday Night Fever,
oh yeah,
what did I texted like, Brian? You need to ask him, right?
You got to ask him how the brisket turned out.
And he said it was his average brisket. He blamed Laser.
Yeah,
I'd like to know what John Laser did. Did Laser?
That was a long interview, man. He forgot to go out there and spritz, or he didn't put the Texas crutch on, something like that.
Touche. But just Saturday in general with Justin Fuente on Twitter, it was a breath of fresh air to us as fans.
Oh yeah,
he was answering questions. I know some people were like, "Oh, it's not really him," but then Mr. Trey Turner decided to debunk that real quick.
Yeah,
with the, "Hey, coach, 0 to 10, rate me what I did when I came up for the Elite Series day." 0. And Trey was like,
garbage.
Yep. And then Trey
That's move.
And then Trey gives the backstory of he was focused on, basketball at that point in time. And
he pretty much went to that to stay on the radar.
Exactly. And when you sort of read kind of what was said after that, like, you can feel there's a connection there with him and Coach. But it was everything. His Twitter game lately has just been up. I think for us as fans, we're really happy. And he claims he was sober. I'll believe him. Although he has been in the house with 3 women for going on 20 days. So
again, I seriously think he that basement is his comfort zone, man. All of a sudden he's been in there for a while. He's like, okay, I'm gonna fire up the Twitter and see what happens.
And it was awesome. And he went because he texted about going fishing with his girls. And then what was it, about 7:45, 8 o'clock? He fired that thing up to like 12:30. He was answering all sorts of questions. interacting. It was awesome. And he asked for follows, and people were giving him that stuff. And
are we assuming that him thinking Drake was Prince was a joke?
yes, I do think. I think he knows the difference. We hope so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's close to our age. That's one of the cool
Yeah.
parts about the head coach. I think Justin's 41, and I'm 36. You're 35. We're pretty much in that same generational thing. So I think he knows who it is. I think he was just messing with people. So yeah. And then of course, upon the Latrell Neville commitment, the Stephen A. Smith gif.
Yeah.
With the cracked me up. So
that would call me off guard. I was like, oh, Fu did that? Fu did okay.
Really? But I'll say
this.
I don't know if it either he's like reading some PR books, or they've got him a PR coach, or maybe just his wife, being around his kids and wife. And maybe that's why he's coming out, because normally, again, people talk about him. He seems like he's a family. He goes to church with them. He's very, very family oriented. So when he goes home, I'm wondering if it's like, I've got to put the phone down. I need to spend time with my children, time with my wife. I could sit here on Twitter all day and play around, but now he's getting that opportunity, and it's been really cool to see, man.
I mean, I'll say this: just looking at everything, it looks like he's a guy that compartmentalizes things very well.
Yeah.
He manages it, and then he puts it to the side. And when he's doing one thing, he's not doing another, and then he'll dive back into that when it's time. So I think that's why maybe he comes off as, maybe his personality isn't what you think it is, because he's not bringing everything in all at once. He's focused on, okay, well, it's post-game interview, so here's my post-game interview side, and then, things like that. And I think, obviously there are going to be those moments where he's 100% himself, but that may be reserved for his players and his family and not for the general public.
True. Although we have seen crazy, insane view, and some one of the Twitter guys brought it up, was like, what exactly did you say to the refs on the Notre Dame game back in 2016? They got you a personal foul. His comment, it's not suitable for print.
Yep.
I remember when that happened, because if you remember that season, we hadn't really seen a lot of emotion from, but when we saw that,
it's like, okay, this guy knows how to fire it up.
The I almost want to say is, if this was like a bar fight, I think he would have punched the ref in the face. So, yeah. But
accurate.
Also to see that.
Accurate.
All right. So, folks, we're going to move on, and we're going to go to some of our first Hokie experiences. And, Brian, lead off, man, because you got me by a year, buddy. Brian,
I got you by a year, and I got you on some, I guess, maybe – you've got the saddest story. I've got the weirdest one. So,
all right, so shoot.
We'll start with the more straightforward one. So the actual first time set foot into Lane Stadium was 2002, Rutgers.
All right, give me the backstory. How'd you get?
All right, backstory. So your boy was not on the travel squad his first year at Hampton-Sydney. Full disclosure.
Yep.
I know that's going to sadden everyone that thought I was some sort of baller. I did start, but not my freshman year. So when the team was away, your boy was at home, and I happened to have a good buddy up in Blacksburg that said, "Hey, I got you a ticket. Let's roll."
That was Matt, wasn't it?
Moore.
Matt
yeah.
Moore.
So get to Blacksburg. My boy lives in Lee Hall. He's a freshman. We get to Lee Hall. We're hanging out. We go. I forget where we went, but we went to get a bite of food, and we came back, and he realized he forgot his Hokie pass. He's like, "I know a secret, though." He's like, Lee Hall door across from the basketball practice facility. If you push it in and then jerk it out real quick, she'll come open even though it's locked. Okay. So we got in. This is going to come. There's a theme here that's very important for later consideration.
For your second experience.
And then we had another buddy, actually a cousin of mine named Jeff Hudson. He had an apartment, so we went over to his place later and did some pre-gaming, and then hit up the tailgate scene for a little bit just before we went into the game.
All right. Well, hold on. Where'd you tailgate? First place?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember where we were tailgating.
I mean, was it like Chicken Hill, Duck Pond,
It was
Francis Ford?
Duck Pond.
It's
It
Duck
was
Pond.
Duck
Okay.
Pond. Yeah.
Yep.
And so hit up Duck Pond, then we head to the stadium. So as for the game itself, it was one of those games, those classic Hokie games where we're way better than the opponent, but this game is way closer than it should be.
Freaking Rutgers.
Yeah. But the big plays, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the Kevin Jones reverse field touchdown. It's one of the first big Kevin Jones highlights. And you want to remember this. That was the thing that stuck with me most, because I was like, I'd never seen a running back do something like that, because he reversed field, then escaped, then wound back around to the middle of the field, then hit the sideline again, then was back in the middle of the field for the touchdown. Then we had D'Angelo Hall had a punt return late in the game to kind of close things out. But the game kind of was slow because we had a lot of mistakes and a couple turnovers. But the big thing is, and the thing that stood out, and we had talked about this earlier, Lee Suggs had himself a game.
He did, and you played against that guy, so even more meaning for you, buddy.
Yes, he did, yeah. So he was just under 200 yards rushing. KJ had another like 130.
Oh, my God.
And then Emo had about 25. So we had 350 combined rushing yards between Suggs, KJ, and Emo.
I love Emo, man, but you remember that year? That was the Untouchables year.
Yeah.
With Suggs. I mean, and did I get chills thinking about that? Those guys were so damn good, man. So damn good.
The Suggs just out there just rolling over people, and then once he got past them, running away from people. And KJ just, I mean, he just so electric on the field. Just hard to really compare to anybody else. I mean, KJ was just so electric out there.
Nice. All right.
What about you, man? What was your first? Give us your first rundown. Let's start with the backstory.
All right. Well, let's go back. The year is 2003.
Dun, dun, dun.
17 years ago. Let's do that and shake our heads. Remember Travis Owen?
Oh yeah.
Well, Travis Owen, I had ran into him like the weekend before he was moving up, or going back to Tech, and he said, "Hey, dude, come up Labor Day weekend. We'll find you a ticket. We'll go to the game." Like, oh, awesome, man. I went ahead, got off from work for the whole weekend except Monday of Labor Day weekend. I'm in community college at that point in time, so I go to my classes, and I think my last class ended at 11 o'clock. So I get in the truck, head back to Sobo. My parents know I'm leaving, but I got to go pack my bags and stuff. And I got to get in touch with Travis so he knows I'm coming. Well, I called Travis. No answer. Okay. Cool. I called him again. No answer. Now I've got a cell phone at this point, so we're not that ancient, folks.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, whatever. He went. He's up in school. He probably got smashed last night. I'll go home, get on IM's team, and get his address and tell him I'm on my way. Go home and remember the old fade IM when it was black. It was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah, yeah.
Go home. He's not there. It's been like 26 hours, like, since he was at his computer.
Where you been, man?
Oh, my God. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now, of course, I know lots of guys in Blacksburg. I mean, Wilkerson, Hudson, your cousin. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, crap. And I just saw I pinged Matt Hastings.
There you go.
Yo, Matt, what are you doing, man? And he's like, oh, dude, just drink the beer. Like, dude, you seen Travis Owen? I know you guys are up there. He's like, no. I was like, damn it. I'm like, dude, I'm supposed to come up and crash with him this weekend, go to the game, party. He's like, dude, bleep him. Here's my address. Get your ass in your truck and come. So I'm like, screw it. Love Matt. Went up there. He was living at Fox Ridge at the point in time. So Fox Ridge. Stay with him on Friday night. Catch up with Wilkerson on Saturday and stayed with him. We roam, because it's going to sound really weird, folks, but that first game I went to was on Labor Day Sunday as a 3:30 kick. So partied all weekend, hang out with our boy Brian, hang out with Matt, a lot of the other boys from back home, get housed all around Fox Ridge, have a blast. Wake up game day, tailgate down at Price's Sport. I don't get smashed though, because I have to drive back home after the game Because I
Because
got to go
your
to
boy
work.
probably had to work, I would guess.
Yeah, I got to go to work at 8 o'clock next morning. So I had a few beers in the parking lot. I sat on student side with Brian, Wilkerson, Blair, Waller. I don't know Blair's married name now. Had a great time. Game was August 31st, 2003 against UCF, man. And, dude, I've forgotten pieces of this game. So I went back, Hokey Tape, shout out. We wish you were still up. It was screw those guys who got you kicked off, man. I hate them. But, dude, the amount of talent on the team, and I'm going to just start going through names, and you're going to be like, yep. So Brian Randall, Marcus Vick, Kevin Jones, Humes, Jake Grove, got to get you out, Lyman Love, Jeff King, Will Montgomery, Wilford, Coach Justin Hamilton catching a wide receiver catching a touchdown. The next season, he's at running back. To show you how developed he is. On defense, offense, and special teams. D. Hall was doing everything that day. He caught a couple passes, punt return. And I'm going to throw some this is like the love names. Daryl Tapp, that was his first game at Tech. That's Tapp's first game at Tech, man. Nathaniel Adibi, Colas Coles, the Lewis brothers, Vegas Robinson, Jimmy Williams. When I was watching this game and the pieces of it, it was just like, this is awesome. And, the first live touchdown I got to see, to hear Skipper fire and Tech Triumph to be played, was Kevin Jones with a touchdown run. And,
there we go.
And UFC, I mean, that was a pretty close game, too. It's kind of like your games. Tech went up big 28-0. UCF then scored 21 in a row. Tech then scored 21 in a row to put it out of reach and won 49-28. Brian Randall tore it up. Marcus threw a TD. Defense played great. But I didn't realize how much talent UCF had. They had Brandon Marshall, Atari Bigby, Matt Prater. I mean, that's guys that spent significant time in the league. And, that was my first experience. First time I jumped. It was unbelievable. I toast Wilkerson. I can't remember if I ever saw Travis that weekend. But I don't feel that because Travis.
Did you ever talk to him later and be like, "What the hell, dude?"
I did, and basically he went on a bender for like 3 days.
Okay. So he was outside his mind for a several day span
because
there.
He made it up to me. In 04, I crashed with him a couple times going down in 04, so he made it up to me in a nice way. All right, so Brian, we're doing multiple experiences. So what is experience number 2 for you?
That's going to be Commonwealth Cup, same year, 02. In Lane, there were snow flurries in the second half, which I think is documented the last time there's been snow during a game in Lane. It was barely there, but it was there. It was blowing sideways because that was a windy day. So I actually rode up with a friend of mine from high school, Tyler Abbott, and my stepbrother, Justin Wilkerson. We actually got tickets last minute. Apparently, Justin's mom had them for some sort of client event that got canceled, so she just passed them on to us. I was like, sure, why not? But as we all know, it's Thanksgiving, so not as many people on campus as there normally would be. So I coordinated with, again, my cousin Jeff Hudson. He's like, yeah, I'll be up there. So you can crash in my place. You guys can crash in my place. I was like, perfect. I wasn't planning on getting like super trashed afterwards, but I didn't really get trashed with Tyler very much, so I wasn't sure how that was going to work. But anyway, that's a different story. Not really pertinent right now. So I was like, yeah, just a place to lay my head, whatever. So, get to the game. We are in South End Zone.
Okay.
Yeah. Decent seats, not great seats.
It's in Lane. There's not a bad seat.
Exactly. And the game, tight throughout. The big play of the game was the J-Ham punt block.
Sir. And who scooped it?
Oh, that's a D-tap scoop and score there, sir. That's a D-tap scoop and score.
It's crazy to think those guys are on the staff now, man.
Yeah. So J-Ham had the punt block, D-tap scoop and score for the touchdown. Final score 21-9. Again, last game that there was actually documented snow during the game. But here's where things get interesting for me and my two compatriots. Text my my cousin after the game, hey man, cool if we come over? And he texts back, yeah. Well, he calls me back at this point. We weren't texting, but he got back with me. Yeah, I wasn't able to get back up there.
Huh?
What? This would have been something great to know several hours ago.
Jesus.
So, we're kind of in no man's land because none of us felt like driving back. But at the same time, none of us had a place to go. So, we were also 18, so none of us really wanted to get a hotel room because we were all kind of poor.
Broke college kids.
So we made the strategic decision. Well, I did in this case because I was the one that had the golden ticket. And that golden ticket was I knew how to get into Lee Hall. So I did the push-pull trick, worked like a charm, walked up to the second floor, grabbed a couple sofas in the common room, crashed for the night, woke up at about 7, 8 in the morning, drove back home. Now, that's not the last of the great Lee Hall stories, but the third one has nothing really to do with football. First date, picking up my wife, driving to Blacksburg. She says she lives in Lee Hall. She's like, I was like, hey, I'm almost there. She's like, I'll come down and let you in. I was like, don't worry about it. I know how to get into your dorm.
Creeper.
Somehow she still went on this date with me, and somehow later she married me.
And she had a child with you. So it went pretty deep there, man.
Yeah. But Lee Hall's been good to me.
Hey, every time we walk by it, every time we've went up, you always point. You're like, I get in right there. Or at least I could.
So, Curtis, you got a what I would call a heartbreaking story from a fan perspective you wanted to share for your second experience.
Well, wasn't really experience, but it's a story. It's a great home experience.
A moment. A moment.
So, the year's 2003, man. And a couple weeks before the Miami game, Brian Wilkerson, one of the guys we've known forever, man. Can't remember if he gave me a call or sent me a message on AOL. He said, Curtis, I've got a ticket to the Miami game in the north end zone. The guy's got to be out of town, wedding, family, something. He wants $65 for it or somewhere in there. A reasonable price. And I'm like, get that bleeping ticket. I'm coming. Yes, I'm so jacked. Now, the win went out of the sails. If everybody remember, in 03, we were unbeaten. We freaking screwed the pooch against West Virginia the week before. But still, that game was hyped. It was Saturday night. It was on ESPN. The place was jacked. But I didn't get to see it because as I'm sitting there all happy, telling my folks, hey, I'm going to Blacksburg this weekend, call into work, hey, I'm not coming into work. I need to be off this week. Yeah, fine. Well, Brian, you've heard this story, and it's sad.
Mm-hmm. It is.
The car insurance bill came for the truck. My mom walks into my room. Hey, you need to pay this. I look at the bill. I look at my bank account. And needless to say,
you shout.
Curtis didn't get to go to the Tech Miami game of 2003. I watched it at home because I was literally broke after I wrote that check for my car insurance. It was an amazing experience, but one of the sad things is of that crowd that night was electric. That crowd watching it at home, that was one of those games. And then all the plays that happened with, give it to me, Roscoe, and, just blowing the doors off them in that third quarter. I admit, I believe I cried that night because I know I should have been, and not just
I could have been
in,
there.
not just in east or west stands and student section, not in south end zone, the north end zone, the creme de la creme of seats for a Tech game for what we were in that age in my 20s. So yeah, man.
I think that would have been worth taking the D-knock, man.
Well, I didn't know much about insurance. All I thought was,
I know. I'm just saying that might have been worth the
shit,
D-knock.
if I don't. Well, oh yeah, but you know the issue. My parents were really good friends with the Farm Bureau agent. If I hadn't paid that, I'd have been given hell.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. All right. So guys, this week we're not really doing a poll, but we're going to do some open-ended questions. Your first time in Lane Stadium, who was that first player that just popped to you? Brian, go ahead with yours from that game at Rutgers, and I think it's in a way for you, it's probably a little more personal.
Yeah. So I'm gonna preface this with I'm probably gonna give some love to two people here, but I'm gonna go with Lee Suggs as the sentimental pick here. I was in high school. We played against them when he was still in high school, and I do. Oh man, just watching him was kind of like it's like, oh, that's what a running back can be. Like, because I didn't really experience that up until that point. I was like, okay, well that's what it is. I got a buddy that got trucked by Suggs.
Jesse Rogers.
He still talks about it to this day. Jesse Rogers still talks about it to this day. Jesse Rogers is one of those like undersized, scrappy guys that played on both sides of the line. And Suggs was coming through the hole, and he decided, all right, I'm gonna stick my head in here and see what I can do. And he landed it flat on his back, and Lee kept on going. So yeah, big shout out to Lee Suggs. I mean, he had a huge game. Was 193 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and just every time he touched the ball, it looked like he gained 5 or 6 yards minimum. I mean, and then he broke a couple 20-yarders, broke a couple 30-yarders. I mean, he was just up and down the field. I know KJ had probably the most electric play of that game, but I came away a big still Lee Suggs believer because of just how dominant he was from start to finish. And another sentimental shout out for that game is to Brian Randall, because at the time, not only being a Tech fan, but my RA down the hall from me at Hampden-Sydney was Brandon Randall, Brian's older brother, stretch 4 for Hampden-Sydney for a few years there. So it was fun, having that little tie-in that not everybody knew about. So that was kind of cool, and always been a big Brian Randall fan. Just think, he was a guy that probably is somewhat underrated in terms of the glory days of Virginia Tech from a quarterback perspective. So, Vic and Tyrod get the most love, and Logan gets a lot of love. But I think sometimes we forget about Brian. So that's my 2. What about you, buddy?
The first one you mentioned him with that run, but Kevin Jones. The first play I ever saw was not a Kevin Jones play. His was the second. The first was Doug Eastlick, the full big 43 to fullback with a little catching a little pass from B-Ran. But watching some of his jump cuts, and just again when I watched that game through Hokie tapes, I kind of went back and said he was that good. And Kevin Jones was that good in the NFL. If Kevin Jones doesn't get that Liz Frank sprain, my opinion on him is of the 2010s, he would have been considered one of the best running backs. Now, the other guy, and this is just straight up just because of who he was, it's D. Hall. D. Hall played everything that game. He caught 2 passes for 40 yards. He was always a baller on defense. He was legitimately one of the best punt returners in college football history, not just in Virginia Tech history, college football history. And just to see him, he was out there so much. Those are my 2 guys. Now, fans, what we'll ask you guys to do, if you've got one, if you've got 2, put them out there and tell us, who was that first player that when you saw them, that first game you went to, was it like, oh boy, this is different? All right, Brian, have we missed anything? Any breaking Twitter news while we sat here and, relive some
I
glory
don't
days?
see anything popping up for me. I don't see anything popping up, so I think we're good to go. I don't think we've had anything that we need to break right now. I'll definitely say that.
Awesome.
But tomorrow is another day, so I think we've got some good news coming down the future. So we'll see.
You feel like there's some momentum gaining. I'm with you. So hopefully the next time we do this, we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6 commits where it's like, whoa, what happened? So let's do this, man. This is going to wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast. My name is Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
And as always, we let our guy Jason Long play you out. Catch him on Spotify and Apple Music. We thank you for listening. Subscribe to us Spotify, Apple iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.